down. All right, Smithsonians, welcome back. We're live. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. Got Dr. White here. Don't. I'm all right. Just had a quick checkup, but what? How are you feeling? Like,
I'm feeling good. I had a checkup myself just Monday or Tuesday morning, and he had a student in with him during the exam, and I think I got one of the best exams that I've ever had because I think when the doctor knows that there's a student in the room, he wants to do everything, man. He had my ears and my throat and all this kind of stuff, and back he did everything. Then I told him about some dizziness that I was having, so he went through every med that I had, and then each med has some kind of a descriptor that says if this is the med, 20% of the people are feeling this, and some are feeling that. And so he went through all of those, and he couldn't find any medical reason why, I'm having these kind of like this dizziness stuff. But overall, everything is good. I just had my 84th birthday, March 8th. I'm feeling good. Only thing I'm missing right now, I want to get back out and start walking because I really, really miss that. I think that when you don't use your muscles, they begin to atrophy. And I think they can do that in a very short time period. And that's the thing that gives you your stability. Okay. And I think sometimes if you don't have that strength, you probably do feel a little bit wobbly. But overall, I feel absolutely great. Everything is good, no complaints. Looking forward to having this live discussion with you to see how this rolls. And you're the man, and you're the man of the hour, and so I'm ready to do whatever you want me to do. So let's get it, man. What topics? How should we start this out? How should we get this thing rolling?
Yep. I can't be the man without you. So, yeah, we made this possible together. And luckily for you, you had a student watching your doctor, but mine's he had AI.
I was watching.
He just talking to AI. I'm like, I'm here. Like,
wow, no, I've never had an AI exam, so that's a new one on me. And I go to the VA, so I don't think VA is going to start using AIs to do exams. They probably get a little bit of pushback if they did that.
Yeah, the practice, the person before the doctor come in, he did more work. He did more work. The doctor just came in and started talking to AI. I'm like, okay, I'll check my back like usual, like,
wow.
with the telescope. Yeah, check it back. Like, he is talking to me. I'm like, I had this little tingly feeling on my shoulders. Every once in a while, I was like, okay, get an X-ray. I'm like, what?
Wow.
It's like AI is taking everybody's jobs.
That's where we are. That's what's happening. And I think the interesting thing about that is that there are some people who are running away from AI. And the only thing I can say for you is do not run away from AI. Run towards AI, but run towards AI with knowledge. AI can only do what you allow them to do. I use AI extensively now. And AI is like an assistant for me. So the things that I need done, extra information, more details on some of the documents or the trainings that I'm doing or some questions that I may have to validate some things, AI does that, and AI does it exceptionally well. And my AI person, I call him Chat. And Chat and I just kick it, man. Chat and I have a really, really good conversation. And then I'll say something to Chat like, Chat, what do you think I should do in this particular situation? These are the two things that are available. Which one carries the most weight? And it will say, okay, these are the two things. And it'll give me a list of both of them and says which one makes more sense to you, which one is the one that you feel really validates what it is you want to do. And that's how we roll. And I have literally thousands of pages of information from AI. It is just absolutely an excellent tool. It is a tool. And so if you haven't started using it, please do. Please introduce yourself to AI, see what it is, play around with it, ask questions like, give a recipe for something, or how do you build a rector set, or whatever. Just start the dialogue so that you can get comfortable, because AI is not going away.
Correct.
It is here to stay, and it's going to do nothing but get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and more involved in everything. Not some things that we do, everything. If you notice, even with the fast foods, some people, some of them have them in, some are doing well, some are not. But they have them, and they will perfect those. They will get better. That's what I know. Some of them are kind of shaky, but give it some time. They're going to correct it. They will. I guarantee you. Yeah. 3 to 6 months from now, probably everybody will be using AI in their fast food arenas.
Correct. So, talking about the fast food, like, yeah, how I don't know. I see some change in the restaurant. I'm not gonna lie. I went to Popeyes. I'm like, that chicken tastes a little too fresh. I'm like, it's been a minute. It's my first time this year having Popeyes. I'm like,
Okay.
I don't know what's going on back there, but there's some.
Well, I don't. Here's what I don't know. I would think that AI is not, of course, cooking, but what AI might be doing is doing the mix or telling them how much flour, how much salt, how much pepper. But those are some concepts and recipes that are pretty much locked in because they want people to have that same taste no matter where they go. So it could have been just a bad day with one of the people in the back that caused that. But I don't think that AI, now they may at some point in time show AI how to mix it or how to stir it or something along those lines. And that will probably come because right now AI is doing surgery. There are people who are having surgery performed on them versus the AI. The plus side of that is AI will use the same procedure over and over and over again. Now, the bad side of that is there may be a need for a switch or a shift. I don't know whether AI can calculate that. But from what I have seen, AI is never performing a surgery by itself. There's always the doctor there or doctors there. So I think, and I think they'll continue to do that for a while. I'm sure that with knees and things like that are just kind of like everyday things anymore, I'm sure there's a lot of AI involved in it. I just don't know how much. That is not my lane. I don't know anything about that medical field or surgery. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we're learning. We're in the process. We're in it right now because I want to see how this X-ray going to go. I was telling the doctor.
Yeah.
He was talking to AI. I want to see how the X-ray goes.
That's exactly it.
Because they use it to predict things now too. So it's like
and it's really, I mean, the thing about it that amazes me, it is so fast because what AI is doing, AI is pulling from millions of bits of information, probably from all over the world, to give you one answer. So it's not just like they're going in their basement or in the corner or in their building. They're pulling information from everywhere to give you a response. And so that's the plus side, and then maybe that may be the minus side. Here's what I do know. I do know this. I believe that African Americans need to be on AI to program it to who we are.
correct.
If we don't go on AI and give us our viewpoints, our ideas, our expressions, our history, then it's going to be programmed by whoever is using it.
Yeah.
And over here in the United States of America, it's going to be more Europeans. But, we also have Hispanics here. We also have Africans here. We also have people from Haiti, like your hometown. So if we lay back and stay away from it, don't look up and say, well, AI didn't say things the way I wanted it to say. Because here's what happened. I'll give you an example of that. I've asked AI to give me some images when I was looking at putting some things together for the VA trainings. I said, AI, I would like to have myself in front of the classroom, and I would like to have an audience of men and women of all ages, military background. And it brought up just what I asked for, but it showed me as a white guy. And had most of the people, almost all of the people in the room were white, And I said, AI, first of all, I am not white. I am African American male. I gave it my age. I told him what my hair was like and the clothes that I normally wear when I'm in front of a classroom. And I said, but in my classroom, I need a diverse classroom. I need to see black folks, white folks, Hispanic folks, Asian folks. I need to see African American females in the class and not in the back of the classroom. I need them up towards the front, mixed in with all the other folks. But I want them to be well represented when I'm doing this particular work. And guess what? It came back and gave me just what I asked for. It came back with more diversity, African American females towards the front, different ages, different ranks, the type of clothing. I said I like to wear like a band, a collared shirt, and a blazer. I said I usually wear some dark jeans or some dark slick. It hit it to the T. So what that says is we must get to AI and program it.
Correct.
And if we don't do that, guess whose fault it is? It's our fault. We'll sit back and I want to wait for it's going to scare me. It's not going to do anything to you. It's going to do more to you if you don't get involved than if you do get involved. But do it, treat it with respect, and make sure that you're holding it accountable for what you want. If it gives you some information that you feel is not correct, just go back and say, AI, I don't think I would like it that way. I think it's this. This is more part of my culture. This is what my family was like. And it automatically flips all that stuff back to me. So I guess that's my spiel on AI, man, tonight.
No, they look for people with no experience, but they need your input. So it's out there. You have to find it. But I keep seeing stuff like that, articles like that. Your input, your prompt is needed.
It needs you, and it's so easy. Chat GBT and have a whole bunch of other ones. You're the one who got me started with AI stuff anyway. But there are a number of other ones that are out there now, and I've just been using Chat GBT, and I'm amazed at what it provides me. And so I'm sure I'm going to explore some of the other ones, but right now this one meets my needs. So that's my story for AI for today, brother.
But you know what I was thinking?
What's that?
Because last time we talked about a relationship, but it's basically I'm talking about the cruise.
Yeah, the cruise, right.
And I'm thinking about AI on a cruise. Like, how would that look?
I tell you what, AI is already on the cruise because AI is helping that commander, whoever it is up in front, make sure they make those right turns at the right time. They're doing that. They're there and probably running a number of the systems that are there: the heating, the cooling, the water sources, those kinds of things. Doing that.
When was the last time you went on a cruise?
My last cruise was in last year in the Caribbean. I was there for 2 weeks. That was my last cruise. Before that, we were in Europe for 2 weeks.
Did you take your passport? Because they had a face recognition. I'm like,
what I did, I had my passport, and I have also a global pass, but they didn't ask for it. So I used my passport and my driver's license. Those are the only things that I used. The only thing that I found that was more AI when you go in, coming back, you look and stand in front of a machine, and you don't have to do anything, and it does facial recognition. And the facial recognition will then bring up your information, and if everything is correct, they'll just have you move on. And so facial recognition is there, and that's a part of it. I guess that's a part of AI.
Yeah, I felt that weird. I'm like, they only see my passport. Like, how? Like, what are you seeing? Like, what information they need? Just your face. Like, it's weird. It's like,
they look at you and they get you in there, and and facial recognition isn't nothing new. I mean, they're using it everywhere today, and it's going to be used more and more and more and more. And there's certain kind of points that they connect on you and your face, and it's pretty good. It's pretty close. It's here. Bingo. It's here. It's just a matter of how they're going to perfect it. How far will it go? But it is here. It is here. And in many instances, you can say I'm glad because some of the security things that are happening in communities and in homes and what have you, if nothing else, AI will make those people who want to do the wrong thing, it'll make them stop and think before they may perform some of those acts or breaking in on something. So I know.
Let's talk about it. Since you mentioned it, like there's a headline going out right now about break-ins. Like the teens are making a post
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, there's just a bunch of teens go to a particular place at one time and go in and just it's a snatch and grab.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
you know, when I heard them talking about it, my first thought was, you know, the age range. Some of my grandchildren, I have grandchildren, three of them that are between the ages of between the ages of 8, 10, 12, and 14.
Okay.
I can't imagine my grandchildren going anywhere and joining a bunch of people at a store and breaking in and stealing something. Because they're always home now. Now they go to different people's homes, but every time they leave the house, we know exactly where they're going. Also, my great-grandchildren know that they would pay hell if they got involved in anything like that. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt in their minds right now. If they see that, or when they see that, they would say, probably, woo, I ain't gonna never do that because my granddad would be, I say granddad, I'm their great-grandfather, but they call me granddad. They said, my granddad would be all upon me, plus their mothers and fathers would do the same thing. But I would get there first. I would get there first. You know, and for no other reason.
First responder.
Yeah, for no other reason. It's for their safety.
Right.
Their safety would be the first thing that I would think about, because with you involved in stuff like that, crazy things can happen. And you call law enforcement to come in and deal with the problem and situation. And kids could do something to a police officer, and then the police officer is going to respond, and someone gets mad. And this cop shot my baby. Your baby shouldn't have been there. The cops have to protect themselves like we have to protect our... It's just too much mess. Too much mess. And anyone who has children who are involved in that, you better let them know that that's not in their best interest, because something could happen to them right there at that moment. Or some kids will get away with it 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, but somewhere down the line, there's going to be a consequence. There's always a consequence to inappropriate behavior. And when you have inappropriate behavior that's constantly out there, something is going to happen. Something negative is going to happen as a result of that. So I would hope that any child that's thinking about that, anyone that has a brother or a sister or a cousin, or any parents that have children who are even thinking about those kind of things, have the conversation with them now and letting them know that is not in their best interest. I would love to see 300 kids get together and go to the library and see who could read some damn books, or see who could add and subtract. And what I would like for them also to do is to think about the space shuttle that's out there right now. I know my great-grandson brought it up to me, the space shuttle. He said, blah, 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 Granddad, it's here, it's coming around. And I made a mistake. He said, no, it's going around the dark side of the moon. It'll be there at such and such a time, and so and so. I had nothing to do with that. It's probably him and his dad or his mom, but he had that conversation with me. And so those are the things that our kids could get together right now and talk about what's going to happen. And the other part of it is, they can't say that we can't do it. They have an African-American male who's up there, and he's not the first one who's been an astronaut, but this is the first African-American male that has gone on the back side or the dark side of the moon. So we can say that we were a part of one of the first things that ever happened. And so our young people can start to say, I want to do that too. Because there are going to be opportunities for them to do that. There are opportunities for them to do that now. They can start thinking about it. They can start reading about it. Plus, you have these cell phones in your hand. You have these this is a master's degree. This is a PhD. Any kind of information that you want between your cell phone and AI, there isn't a question that you could possibly have where they would not give you the exact answer and tell you how you can get more information about that particular topic. So that's what our children should be looking at. That's what the future looks like. And there are going to be people in the future who are going to be stealing and grabbing and going to some of these prisons. I don't know if you noticed that our dear president is building more and more and more prisons everywhere that he can. And believe me, if he's building prison, he has in his mind who thinks should be in those prisons, and more than likely it will be people who look like us who's thinking about. So we need to be thinking. Our young people need to be thinking. We need to plan ahead. What's going to be happening to you 5 to 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road? Those are the kind of things that you could do. And if you could get 300, 400 kids interested in going in and stealing, because that's what you're doing, in stealing, why couldn't you get 300 or 400 kids interested in development, professional development, effective presentation skills, any of those kinds of things? That's what we could do. And can you imagine if we get 300 or 400 kids focusing on one thing, all the stuff that could come out of that? Oh, man, this is a world. The AI is creating a paradigm shift, meaning they're shifting the whole scheme of things and operating. And what I have always said, when the paradigm shifts, the game starts over. So what do I mean by that? Prior to AI, if you wanted to get information, you had to go to an Encyclopedia Britannica, you had to go to the library, you had to go to some other facility or buy a book, go to school to get that information. Well, today, a lot of that information, you don't have to go to any of those resources. If you need some assistance on understanding some process in school, AI is there to help you understand it. It is a teacher. And so by you doing that, you don't have to wait and put all this time in to get data, to get information, to position you to be able to excel or to get your bachelor's degree, and not only those certificates. If you want to be a person who's doing plumbing or carpentry or electrical work, you can get a lot of that information right now on AI, and it will give it to you, and then it will tell you where you need to go at your age so that you can get a certification in that. And the trades today are making as much, if not more money than most people in colleges. Trades are big time. They are growing. Multi-million dollars and becoming millionaires. So it's just something for us to kind of like think about. So that's my take on the kids and on the youth. I mean, and they're not doing anything new. Snatch and grab is not new. It used to be 3 or 4 people going to one jewelry store and do it. Now they're taking 4. Somebody get, let's take 400 kids to do it. Let's take 400 kids and this be real stupid, Just like jumping in the cars, running around, wrecking into other cars. And what did that do? That does nothing for you. Absolutely nothing. But now, our society needs to step up its game and give our young people things to do. They need to give our things to be involved. What do you think about it? Okay, well, go ahead. I'll stop. Hook me up. What were you going to do?
So I was going to more detail, the teen takeovers, that's what it's called. It's a random chaos. And further down, it talks about there's no ownership, no economic structure, no real pathway to real money, because schools don't connect them with wealth, jobs don't lead them to ownership, and neighborhoods get flipped the moment they become valuable. It didn't start with social media. It started with policy change, decision, tax abatements. While black home ownership stay low, entire areas redevelop while original residents get pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
Rents rising faster than income.
All of those things are happening.
So it's basically saying it's a perfect storm for what's going on right now.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it's no excuse.
Okay.
It may be the perfect storm for it, but there's no excuse. Because we can find work. Sometimes it's harder. I know that it's more difficult to find work that's going to allow you to be able to have decent housing. And sometimes what you might have to do is to work with 2 people, you and your friend, you and your significant other. I know 2 people can come together and generate enough income to get through all of this craziness that's going on. I always use the example of the Wizard of Oz. I love the Wiz. The Wiz is my piece. I mean, I just love it. My children were kind of like raised on the Wiz. They were like 12 and 13 when it came out. Oz, the Wiz, yeah.
That's right.
But
Yep.
the example that I'm using is from the Wizard of Oz. And when the Wizard of Oz, they were out there in no man's land or no person's land, and they saw that storm coming off in the horizon. And they had a conversation. They said, husband and wife, hey dear, what we gonna do? Blah blah blah. Well, we have that old cellar down there, the storm cellar. And the reason why they had the storm cellar and they said we could go there was because for years they had kept putting food in the storm cellar. They had fruit, they had vegetables. Some people knew how to smoke meat and all that. So there was plenty of food and they had water there. So what they said is, when the storm, not if, but when the storm comes, I want everybody, the kids first, then the adults later, get in that storm cellar and put that lock on it and let's stay there until the storm blows over. Because if it's long, they're long, we have food, we have clothing, we have shelter, we have water that's going to allow us to be protected while the storm is going over. Well, right now, folks, I believe there's a storm going over. And the whole thing is, what have you been doing to put yourself in a position so that you can go into the storm cellar and kind of protect yourselves? And what that means is that you can go home to your house, to your food, your utilities, your what have you, until some of this crazy stuff happens. Now, it's not going to just blow over in a couple of days, but that means, do you have a job that you can go to on a day-to-day basis, that you can generate your income, that you can pay your utility bills, and you can gain transportation? If you have been planning since high school, then you probably have some of those things in place. If you haven't been planning, it's tough. It's going to be tough. So you may have to look at some friends and do some things together with other people. Say, let's two families live in one house as opposed to having a home of our own. And while we're in there, let's save. And that's not new. My daughter lives in a community where there are a number of families from Somalia. And what I've seen and what we've seen on a number of occasions, that home, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home, may have 4 families in that home initially. But then the next thing you know, there's only 3 families. Next thing you know, there's only 2 families. Next thing you know, there's just 1 family. But then you see all the other family members who were there drive up in a decent car. They have a house, an apartment somewhere else, or they bought a home someplace else because they don't believe in making those payments and borrow money from the bank, But what they did, they stayed in that one home respectfully with each other, communicating, understanding what their role, function, responsibility was to the home, to be able to maintain the home while they were able to save money, save funds, until they were in a position where they could either make that down payment on a house, make the deposit on an apartment, purchase a car at a decent price where they would not have a huge car payment or even buy it off. And then those families went on, and they're doing outstanding jobs. And I've been seeing that for a long time myself, since the Somali population came to USA. I haven't seen this, I don't know as much about the Haitian families, but I imagine that they're probably doing the same things. And that's not new. Hispanic families, I know, have done that for a number of years. And as black families, we used to do that. I can remember myself as a child. I think I was probably 5 years old. My mother, my sister, my dad, my uncle, my grandmother, my auntie, my cousin, and her husband, I think we all lived in one house. And, it was the norm for me. I mean, dinner time, we all ate. But then after a while, my uncle and them moved out and got their place. Then we moved out into home with our place. And then we had my grandmother there for a while. And then we finally moved her with us. And it worked. It worked. So I think that's the kind of thinking that we have to adopt. Those are the kind of things we need to get through to our young kids who are going out in great big mobs to steal a biscuit. Because whatever they're stealing, they're not getting anything big because by now, companies already know about them, and all they want to do is grab one or two of them. But they're not going to get anything that's worthwhile, not anything that's going to be worth their lives or worth them spending, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in some kind of an institution. So those are just some of the thoughts, man. My mind just kind of wanders back and forth. So I'm waiting for you, Doctor, to give me my next question.
No, not really next question, but I'm gonna stick on it because you're helping idea I thought about today.
Okay.
You're a book author,
Okay,
and
yeah.
I need your expertise in writing a book because
Okay.
I thought about it. Basically, what you just mentioned, a draft. I don't give too much out there. I don't know how to write a book and stuff like that, so I don't give the information out there. But it's very simple. It's like I write it down, but it's all about me. It's like I'm trying to fit into everywhere. It's like I'm the new American. Like
Right.
I'm double black, or
Right.
double black, triple Haitian.
Okay.
Meaning, my parents didn't experience what I'm going through,
Okay.
and everything's pretty much new to me.
Okay.
And there's the next generation that's gonna come behind me that don't have the information I'm getting from you. So
Right.
double black meaning American black and then Caribbean black.
Black. Okay.
So you mentioned like black people with the. I was thinking about the susu. Like
Mhm.
people put money in and everybody takes a turn to take money. So
Oh, that's
that's
called
called housing.
susu. Okay.
So I was thinking about those are things that people heard about. There's things that happen, but it's not explained
Mm-hmm.
or how it can be used now in this time. Like
Yeah.
so, it's like people move to big mansions and stuff like nature. Like why not stay small? Like keep.
Yeah. Stay
Yeah.
small until you can kind of really get yourself established. And I think the other thing too, you have to. America is a capitalistic system, which means it's about money, more money, more money, more money. And the first thing you have to do is to learn how money works in the United States of America.
Yep.
And anytime someone gets something good and it's really something that everyone wants, I can remember when the price used to drop down so everyone could have it. Now today, instead of that, the price goes up. And so I think we need to understand how does money operate in the United States of America. And people are coming here, and it seems like all they want to do is to make more money. And if they can use you or take advantage of you and get the money, they're going to do that. And sometimes you see that even with your friends and your next door neighbors. So understand money and understand that you need a bank and a banking account because that says something. You need some kind of a credit card, even if you don't use it, because that sends messages. If you don't have one, people saying like, "What's wrong with you? I don't have a bank." You don't have a bank. How do you operate in the United States of America without having a bank and not being able to put your money away and all those kind of things? So, and I'm not talking about heavy piece about. I'm talking about the basic fundamentals about money and how it works. Because being poor in America is rough. It is. Now we have some options. It is. We have some things that will kind of help you and aid you. Now, if you want to deal with that, and you go on someplace and having to get money or food from other people or sleeping in shelters or what have you, they're there. But I don't think if you go there, I don't think you want to spend a whole bunch of time there. And I think what you really want to do is not to have to even go to those places unless you're visiting to take and provide some money as a gift for someone else or help someone else out. So I think that's a very, very first thing. And then black people say, "I don't like math." You're just saying that. You don't know a darn thing about liking or not liking math. Math is simple and math is easy. Now, we aren't talking about trigonometry. We're talking about basic, fundamental 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do math. You understand math. We even have drug warlords who say they don't understand money, but they manage money exceptionally well. Except they could run a major corporation with the knowledge that they have. So don't say that you don't know anything about math. We're talking about basic math, and what we need to do is to learn it. If you study it and learn it, you will know about it. You will understand enough for you to be able to function effectively in the United States.
I think it's relevant to what you mentioned in the last podcast. Belief in yourself. Like you have, before you get in a relationship, you have to fix yourself.
Yes.
So what are some ways, let's say, just emphasize on that, like belief in self. That's one thing that has to change because the segment in the social media is
Yeah.
like, our input is not in there. So it's like, what belief do we have about ourselves?
Yeah. You know.
So that's a question too I want to ask. Like,
Yeah.
growing up, like, what was your belief? Like,
Okay.
when you was little,
For
like,
me,
yes. How
Well,
did you
well,
break out
growing
of
up for me, my life was very interesting because I grew up. I was born in 1942. So in 1942, 45, I was in with kindergarten. And in Pittsburgh, with all the racism that was going on all over America, I went to integrated kindergarten, and then from kindergarten, I went to Catholic school, and the Catholic school was integrated. We had black kids, white kids. Now we didn't hang out and kick it with each other, but at that age, what you did, you went to school, you played in school, had your lunch in school, then you took your butt on home, to your house where you're supposed to be. And in my community now, the community, I lived in the quote Negro community, and they probably lived in their white community because we had the Negro community, the Italian community, Slovenian community, Italian, Slovenian, Jewish community. I didn't have Hispanic communities at that time that I didn't know and that I was aware of. But you all had your own communities. Now, we could go to any community. But when we went to another community, our parents would tell us, if you're going down, we as kids, we bought homing pigeons for 25 cents.
Who?
Homing pigeons, flying pigeons.
Okay.
That if you send them out somewhere, they would come back. And you put little messages around their leg, and they would go, and they would come back.
Where are they going to?
They call, out to other locations, other places that had pigeons in the neighborhood.
So that's real.
I don't. Oh yeah, I don't. But that's what we did. And I never followed the pigeons to know where they went. But all I know is we had horned pigeons, and we would go downtown, and it was a white area in the downtown area, but it was more like a market area because down there that's where the trains would come in, and they would have the fruit that people would get off, the fruit and the vegetables, and people would have little vegetable stands and fruit stands and all those kind of things. Well, we were going down to get the pigeons. And our parents would say, okay, go down, get your pigeons, and get your butt back here. Do not hang out in any of those communities. Especially don't hang out in those communities where those little loose white girls are. They said, and don't mess with their girls, because if you mess with their girls, there's going to be a fight. And so that was the message that we received. And so we would go down, do our thing, we'd come on back.
So fight with the parents or the kids?
Well, the boys. If you mess with the white girls, the boys going to be like, what you doing messing with our white girls, But that happens in any neighborhood. You could be in black neighborhoods, and you go from the east side to the west side or north side or black. If you mess with the girls, you're going to have a fight on your hands,
Okay.
And so then we would go down and we do that, and we come back to our own communities, the Negro community, and we played, we had fun.
The Negro community.
Because then we were called Negroes.
Okay.
We had not. If you called somebody black, then shoot, you'd have a fight on your hands. I'm not black, I'm colored. I'm not black, I'm Negro. Because they perceived at that point in time, or we perceived at that point in time, black being a negative statement. We weren't, as you were saying, feeling good about ourselves. So we were, and if you looked at the Amos and Andy shows, I mean, we didn't have things on TV. There was nothing on TV that was really representative of who we are in a positive light. They had one guy that was, every time they showed him, he was a slow, boss, I don't know if I can get there, but I'm going to try to. And that was supposed to be representative of black people. I remember looking at that on the TV that we had. I think it was a Philco TV that we had that my uncle bought when he came back from the Second World War. But that's the kind of things that we saw then. And then we saw Amos and Andy. I mean, Nat King Cole, he had a show. They loved Nat King Cole because he sang. And he was black, he was dark, but that brother could sing, man, and people loved that. And they give his hand. The person that really started to open up, and I call him probably one of the first people that dealt with diversity, and that was the Ed Sullivan Show. And the Ed Sullivan Show came on Sunday nights, I think it was 8 o'clock, and he brought talent on. And Ed Sullivan did not care what you were, what your gender was, what your race was. If you came on his show and you had talent, he would put you out there. So we saw different black folks who were on the Ed Sullivan Show. Nat King Cole was there, of course, as I mentioned before. Richard Pryor was on the Ed Sullivan Show. I think it was the Platters or some of the other black singing groups that started way back in the day. What's her name? I can't remember her name right now. Ella Fitzgerald was there. Lena Horne, those people were there, and that's what we saw. And that was the beginning of black people being introduced in a really positive way. I can remember one time a guy came on, and he was Al Jolson, and Al Jolson was a guy who sang like a black man. Ah, blah, blah. Well, he took this black mask and put it on his face. And Ed Sullivan said, well, what is the mask for? He said, well, the mask is that we just always wear the mask when we're singing these kind of songs. And Ed Sullivan said, well, take the mask off and sing your song. Which that totally threw everything. And people were like, whoa. So that was early, and I had to be like 8, 9 years old, something like that. I don't know exactly what the years were. But those were the things. So you're talking about self-esteem. So that whole piece around self-esteem is, how do you see yourself? How do you value yourself? What do you think about you? When you stand up and look in the mirror, who do you see? What is your hair? What is your skin color? How well do you deliver messages that you want to deliver? How well do you feel about yourself? Now, what my grandmother did for us, at 4, she took us and got baptized in the Catholic Church. So one of the things that we picked up in the Catholic Church, God, all of God's children, and you love the children, and everything is good. Blah, blah, blah. So those were good messages, and I think we were too young not to believe that those messages were not for us too. So as kids, we believed that we were loved by God and we were good, and so you started to pick up those kinds of values. And I can remember the nuns telling people to treat each other with respect, things like that. So those are the things that you start. But at some point in time, you do get challenged to wonder about yourself. You may get challenged in terms of for some kids, it was their complexion, and some other kids with the clothes that they wore. Other kids with things that had to do with their teeth. Some where they lived, where they grew up. And so at some point in time, when we reach that point in our lives where we can start to say, I'm black and I'm proud. That was a very, very, very positive thing that was happening then.
James Brown, is it?
No, James Brown did it, but think of the other brother. It takes a minute for things to cycle around to come back to me.
It's 8 o'clock.
But so I'm black and I'm proud, and that was done by they did that in the schools, and those were the things that were happening for those black folks at that time who understood the dynamics of what was happening. They understood what we had to do for our own children to get them to start to believe in themselves, to start to believe that they were okay, to start to believe that they were smart. And so that's the thing of self-esteem. You have to be around people who value, respect, and appreciate themselves, and also value, respect, and appreciate each other. I am working with my grandchildren, and we did with my grandchildren already. First I did my children in terms of dealing with those kinds of things, then with my grandchildren, and now working with the great-grandchildren. and talking to them about who they are, how beautiful they are, whether they're light or whether they're dark skinned, all the talent. Every time I see them, I tell them that you are brilliant, you are beautiful, you have so much talent, you did great work there. Oh, let's work on this, let's work on that. And they start to say those things and they start to internalize those things and start to believe them. And then what we do is to do things to reinforce them. So for what I think is important for little kids is to have books with children that look like them. I'm not knocking white kids. I'm saying that white kids don't go around looking at black books. So why should we be going around looking at white books?
True.
So we need to have books and have people in those books that look like them. I can remember we had a book when I was young, and it was like see Spot jump, see Jane, see Dick and Jane. Well, they were white kids, but you know what? I didn't know. This is crazy. I guess I didn't know that they were white, I was black, because the stuff that they were saying for them, I was believing for myself. So when they said those positive things, because no one was in front of me challenging me, saying that you're black, and you don't deserve those. I mean, I just believed those same kinds of things about myself that they were saying to the kids in those books. But I knew I could run, I knew I could jump. One thing that I really loved about that book, that Spot and Jane and Dick, they had a big old yellow umbrella and some yellow boots, man. I thought that was the sharpest thing in the world to have those boots, But, so we were fortunate enough, I guess this way, we were fortunate enough at that point in time in our lives for no one to tell us that we weren't smart, that we weren't okay, even though the system was sending those kind of messages out.
So
go
break
ahead.
that down for me. Like you said, the system, like what system?
The white racist America, because America was racist. America has been a racist since its beginning. And so for adults, for our parents going to work and what have you, we didn't know that our parents, when they were going to work, that they get the low end of the jobs. That when my dad was going out to be a laborer, they wouldn't give him the good jobs, they gave him the bad jobs. We didn't know that. All we knew is my dad went to work, my mama went to work, they came back, we got some food, we got some milk, we get some cookies, we got all so we got that stuff. And everybody in my community that I grew up with were black, so we played and had fun with each other. Even though the big system that was out there was racist as heck, I guess our parents shielded us from a lot of the crazy. Now, I'm sure that some children weren't shielded. I'm sure that some parents maybe couldn't pull that off. But for me, you were asking me, that's how I grew up. And so I went to Aliowau Elementary School, then I went to Holy Trinity Catholic School, and then from Holy Trinity Catholic School, I went to St. Richard's Catholic School that took us up to about the sixth grade. And during that time, my interaction in the community in Pittsburgh were predominantly, I very seldom came in contact with white kids at all. Just didn't see. Now, when we went downtown, my mother and sister would always go downtown. They liked to shop. And I would go along with them. And my mom would dress us up and all those kind of things. And they would go in, and this was something that was unheard of. This was, again, 40s, late 40s, early 50s. They went in, they tried on clothes, they got the clothes that they wanted, blah, 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 blah. My mother took me over to Hughes and Hatches, got me some pants and got me a jacket, but the only thing I was concerned about, I wanted a hamburger and a milkshake. That's why I went with them together. But so now, at that same time, a lot of the guys and ladies that I do training with, who happen to be African American, they couldn't even touch the clothes. If you wanted a suit, a jacket, a pants, you'd point it out, you tell what size it was, and then once you got it and touched it, boom. You couldn't try on anything. They couldn't go to integrated lunch counters. They couldn't go into the department stores. They couldn't go to the. I went to the 5 and 10, man, when I was 6 years old, and a lot of my friends, Arco Cambon and a bunch of other brothers said, man, if we had gone there and touched something, boy, they'd have called the police on us. They said when they were walking down the street, they had to get off the sidewalk if the white people were coming in their direction.
Where are they from? Because it's Pittsburgh.
They were down in Georgia.
Okay.
Arco was in Georgia and Alabama. I think those are the two areas that they were in. And that's what they went through. Now, I don't know what my life would have been like. I don't know how I would have dealt with things then. Now, we moved then to Sharon, Pennsylvania. Now, in Sharon, Pennsylvania, it was where I lived, there were white Anglo-Saxon Protestants and a few black people. Like in my class, about 360, it was about 40 blacks, and the rest of them were white folks. Our neighboring town, which is really right across the street, they had Italians and African Americans, almost 50-50. Wow. Right. So those are the two differences. Now, when we played basketball, it was on, man. It was, boy, you know, if you won the game, you lost the fight. One way or the other. Now, I was treated, and I can't say that all of my other schoolmates, and I found this out later, were treated the same way. But I was treated really well because I played basketball. And in that town, if you played basketball, you were it. One time,
Dr. White, all right, I see you on the court.
I could do the court, boy. They said the boy can't read with a damn, but though on that basketball court, he rules because I had dyslexia. They didn't know what dyslexia was. Okay. Then they just said, you know, I had a speech, a reading impairment. And, you know, they would do those reading tests. I was always the last one coming out. That was kind of shameful. But because I played basketball, I got the esteem on that end. Okay. And then we would have what they called sock hops, and we would dance with the kids. And in that, we didn't have that many African Americans. When we were out on the dance floor, we would have white girls coming up wanting, because we were athletes, wanting to dance with us. And they said, well, yeah, you could dance with you after Mary Sue and Junior. It'll be 6 deep, man, waiting to dance with you. You know, but that was because of that environment that was there, you know. So I feel that I was blessed in a way that I wasn't really hit as hard as many other people who are African Americans were hit. So when I get older, I found out that some, not all, some of my other black students, friends, they ran into a bit more, the girls especially, a bit more racist attitudes from the white girls. But the boys did good because there were so few of us. There were fewer of us. So, you know, man, I'm blessed. So what does that give back to in terms of self-esteem? You just have to start finding a way to get yourself grounded. If you have children, get them. I think church is an ideal place for children to be.
That's what I was thinking.
Because it gives them a base. It gives them a foundation. God loves everybody. Jesus loves everyone. Yahweh loves everyone. Buddha loves everyone. I mean, and there, the church doesn't speak to racism, you know, especially at those ages. You know, you hold hands and God loves all of us. So there's nothing to start to tear them down. And then if they get reinforcement of that when they are home, and I'm not talking about the God or the Jesus or the Yahweh or the Buddha or whoever it was a deity that was supposed to be respectful of all people and wanted all people to be okay. And God loves their children, you know, those kinds of things. And so you start with those values. And then after that, I think the other thing would be to begin to educate yourself about who you are, educate yourself about your history, be around people who understand history, that you can sit down, that you can talk to, that you can ask questions to. Whenever we are in a position where we have adults and you have children, take every advantage that we possibly can to give those children positive feedback and don't call that little asshole, that little this. I mean, people
facts.
do all those kind of things to their children.
Yeah.
If you say that to your children, what do you think they're going to believe?
Yeah.
And I hear people say some things to kids. I said, what the heck? Because they didn't do what you told them to do, or because they didn't, even if the grades were bad, so you're going to call them a name? That's not the problem. You haven't been working. If a child brings home bad grades, it's because the parent haven't been working with the child. Now, if the parent is not in the position where they are academically capable, then find someone who is, or use that cell phone for something other than the stuff that we use it in and everything. And now AI would give you everything from basic math to nuclear fission. You know, because there's no reason today. There's no reason today. And there's no reason why our children shouldn't grow up feeling very, very good about themselves. And if you can't buy a book, go to the library. It's free. And they have every kind of book possible for children. And they can learn and they can see. And they have books with black kids and Asian kids, Hispanic kids and mixed kids, all of those things. It's all there today. We have to go ahead and be able to use it. You were going to say something.
No, I like what you said about the talent pool. Like your talent was basketball. Like other people needs to find their skill, their gift.
Absolutely. Because we found the kids in the choir. And I say in the choir was diverse. Everyone and the kids had good times together, singing together. Some kids played different sports. There was also the kids who were really, really smart. There's some kids who loved science and science labs, and there were other kids who did very, very good in math. I mean, there were all these different kinds of groups. And what I found that if you were committed to whatever that discipline, that area that you were in, you would find kids of all ethnicities who, I didn't find any teachers at that time who I thought or heard were just straight up racist and who would demean you as a minority. I never heard that, never seen that in the school that I was in. Now, I'm not going to say that may not be in other schools, but I don't know of any teachers. Well, let me leave it that way. That's my belief. That's my belief.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure there are teachers who are racist, and some that may even exhibit that kind of behavior. But if they are, then we need to get their butts out of the school.
So my question for you is, your school, it was mixed, like you was a Catholic school mainly.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
from first grade through seventh, sixth.
So when people are given, or black communities were given old textbook from white people, like how does that work? Like, did you have to be a Catholic is private, I believe.
Yeah, Catholic.
So public schools, like how does that work?
So we didn't get that. But what we found in schools where you had white communities and black communities in a school district, what would end up happening, the white students would get the new books. And after the white students got the new books and they moved on to that next grade, the black students coming into that grade got the old books from the white students. And you had to clean the books up and do all those other kinds of things. And so that's how they were passed on. Or they would get the new edition of the book and black kids would get the old edition. So the school did not have to buy new edition for everyone. So those are the kind of situations that happened there.
Because I remember having that, not that experience, but like, I remember we called the books, the textbooks, some scrambled out, some new. Like, it was always a debate.
Right.
I don't remember exactly, I was little, but I do remember those issues.
Those issues happening. You know, and here, let me say this too. I'll say this, and I'm in a whole different mindset today. I believe that as black people, even if we got the old books and we maxed out on the old books, we would still be able to achieve and be in high school, junior high school, elementary. We could still be as effective, if not more effective, than the white students. Now, where there could be a major, major difference I'll give you an example. My very, very good brother, Dr. Elson Craig, African American male, went to the military, was an officer in the military, and became an ophthalmologist here in Columbus, Ohio. They took Doc. They loved him down at OSU. They loved him, black dude, nice guy, so they loved it. So they put him in charge of the medical school, bringing the new interns in, whatever the right terminology would be. And when he was first started, they had maybe one or two black coming in to be doctors. He got it up to about 15 to 20 black students coming in. And they had like, 400, 500, And what he was looking at, he said he would see that the white students were doing better in school than the black students were, even though they were the same age, but they came from different schools. So what he did to make it kind of easy to understand, because he made it easy for me to understand, he said he would ask the white students, what books did you read? And let's say they read these 4 books, medical books.
Okay.
And they said, how proficient were you in the books? They said, well, we knew those books inside and out. Sometimes we start reading those books over again. So then he asked the black young students that were coming in, and they said, well, what books did you read? They said, well, we read the same 4 books. They said, well, how far did you get? Well, we didn't get all the way through. We got only so far in this one and very little in the other one. And what he found was, even though they may have been exposed to same or similar readings, they did not really get through all of them. They did not understand them to the degree that many of the white students had opportunities to go through. So it wasn't that they weren't smart or smarter. They just didn't get an opportunity to go to absorb them thoroughly as their white counterparts. And that's why you saw some white students coming in down at Ohio State University who had 4.4, 4.5 grade point average, and been having that since elementary school, where you had black students coming in at 3.8s, 3.9s, 3.7s, some 4 points. But they didn't have the 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. And those students very rarely were making those kind of grades from kindergarten or from first grade right on through. So the challenge was not intellectual, but the challenge was access to opportunities and information at a very, very early age. And so that's where we slipped. Who was it? The governor's wife has a program that says by age, I think 5 or 6, children should have 60 books in their library. 60 books in there. And there's a campaign going on right now that for young children, and the governor's wife kind of sponsors it. And there's another white female who also does that. And what they do, they have books for young kids, black kids, white kids, whoever. And they'll give them books. They'll send them books. 60 books by age 5.
Okay, I think it's imaginary something, but from infant they give you books once a month.
Yes, and it's a program that they can get into, and they're doing it. So it's always been that. My take is that black people are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I say that only because look at what we've been through since we were kidnapped and enslaved. And look at where we are today. And look at our white counterparts who had total freedom. And not all of them, but they had the access was there. They weren't stopped because of their color of their skin. And still we compete. And they still are trying to hold us down. They're still trying to stop us from having access to the same things that their students are having access to. And we are absolutely brilliant. We just have to start to believe that And even if our kids didn't get the books, they're still brilliant. And you take them where they are right now, give them the opportunity. Every place as black people that we have been able to get in and compete, we excel in. Whether it's sports, whether it's academics, no matter what it is. All the scientific new products that came out from the South, most of those things came from us. And the white people who had the power took it from us and they introduced it, and they're the ones who got the money from it. So that's where, and we need to get that into our children. And if it's not my child, it's my next door neighbor. Every time I see a child, I give them love as much as I can. You're beautiful, you're wonderful, look at you, blah, 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 blah. We need to say that every time we see these babies out there. And if we have an opportunity to give them a book, give them a pencil, give them some paper, give them what have you, then we need to do that. And that's where that whole self-esteem comes. So it's just the child, the baby can't do it by itself. Right. It has to have someone around them. So think of, at what point, I watched my great-granddaughter. What they did, they had a big white sheet of paper on the desk. And they had blocks, triangles, diamonds, squares, and they just outlined those on this big white sheet of paper. They must have had, trapezoids, probably 10 or 15 different shapes, right?
Yes.
And so my great-granddaughter, who is now, I think she's like 2.5 or 2 and 8 months, something like that. She had these blocks, and they had the images on the table. And their kids, their thing was to match the geometric shape with the shape that's on the table. Okay. And she got one of them in, and then she got another one in, and then she had one in her hand. She looked at it, and she put it down over something, and then she pulled it back, and then she went over and placed that one over there, and then she grabbed another one, and she kind of looked around a little bit. And she kind of did this and did that, and then she kind of put another one in place. But it was powerful at that age, not just to see the little blocks in their hand, but to be able to match the squares with the squares and the triangles and the trapezoid and the hexagons and parallelograms and all those kind of things. But you could see it in her eyes, and she was excited. And no one was saying, do this, do that, do it. They were helping her out. I mean, they weren't helping her out in the thing that we saw, but someone was watching, because what they did in their school with their kids, they videotape these kids all day long, and they send those images home to their parents. My grandson may get, both of them, they may get 6 text messages from the school showing the different things that the kids are doing in school. Okay. I mean, immediate feedback. Yeah. And so when they're home, they know what to do. They know how to. And now these are 2 of the grandsons that are, pretty well off. So they have their little ones who are in school at 2 months. What's it say? 2 years old, 2.5 years old. So they have that. And the other ones who don't have the same income is only, the one in California probably doing the same thing, and others, then that's our role as the parent, because they don't have to be in the school to do that. We can do that at home, just buying the books and papers for them and what have you. So I don't know, I'm kind of rattling, so I'm kind of meandering or kind of.
So my question to you is, like, when you talking about that story, what is control to you, and what is too much control? I'm saying in the sense of 1804. I don't know if the AI, not AI, but it was seen like video cameras watching people, like surveillance. So like, what is too much power? Basically, like you control. Like what for? Like you said, school. Like they're watching the schools with the camera. So what is too much?
Well, what they were doing, what they do is, these are preschools. This is preschool. And what they're doing, they're sharing with their parents who are paying, good money. They're sharing with them, this is what we are doing with your child at school. Okay. This is the kind of education that your child is receiving. This is the kind of progress that your child is making. so that they don't have to wait to PTA, parent teachers meeting. They can see immediately every day the kind of things that they can do to help their child, what they're doing really good in, what they may need a little bit of help in, what they may need a certain kind of book. And so that's what those schools are doing. So it's not like control. They're just letting the parents know what's happening. You know, and in most situations, you don't have that luxury, you know, to be able to do that. So.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess I got for today, but it's definitely affirmation. Like, you definitely inspired me, like, with the idea I have and want to do it. Because, like, affirmation for people that come to America, it's like, they don't have that. Some people, like, their parents will be separated from their parents. Like,
Yes.
they don't have that affirmation. They have the steps to be American. Like, it's just weird. So, I'm just going to work on that.
And to keep in mind, though, I think that a child in any country, you know, where you have relative freedom, of course, can start to give their kids those kinds of things. They don't have to be in a preschool in order to get that kind of information. But it definitely does help if you're in an area where those kind of things are plentiful and the money is there to be able to give kids that kind of exposure. Because we're seeing kids come out of some really impoverished areas and do exceptionally well. But someone somewhere along the line was able to look at that child and give them something, and give them some level of support that they needed, that allowed them to be able to break through and excel, and just told them that they were okay, and told them that they were good, and they told them that they were smart, you know. So it can happen anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah, so we'll come close for today. So how do people get in contact with you? How do people reach out to you?
Again, James A. White Sr. My email is jwhite2 at columbus.rr.com. jwhite2 at columbus.rr.com.
Okay.
So that's probably the best way. My company's Performance Consulting Services.
So as a closeout quote, give a affirmation or belief for the people, the viewers.
An affirmation. I guess you started off with self-image. I guess at some point, in some way, you just have to believe in yourself. You just have to believe that you are okay. I'm not perfect. And I'm capable of learning and acquiring what I need to be able to achieve my overall goals and objectives. So, but I gotta start with that song, Believe in Yourself, right from the start. You know, you have to start believing in who you are. As parents, we need to reinforce that in our children over and over. Even if they're doing something wrong, please do not throw insulting comments at your babies. Let them know what they did wrong, hold them accountable. You can discipline them, but don't do things that are going to bring them down or let them feel not be able to hold on and maintain their self-esteem. Self-esteem is so important from the beginning. And you know, and I think we have to do that. We must do that.
All right. Appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you, brother.
All I gotta say is you are chosen, and hey, you're a child of God. That's all I
Well,
say.
thank you. I like that was a good affirmation. You're good at the affirmation. You're chosen, and you're a child of God. See, he did what he asked me to do.
Thank you, Dr. White. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. You want to hear people feedback, so it's like
yeah, you know, I really do. We're here, we're talking, we're sharing. I don't know what to put out here that I think people would like. I have had the opportunity to gain access to a lot of information, and it wasn't because I was the most likely to succeed. Keep in mind, I am dyslexic. I was dyslexic. I still am dyslexic. I would not just grab a book and pick it up and start reading it in front of people. That is not what I do. But that's no excuse for me not to be able to take my time and go through it. And right now, with books on tape, phew, I just ordered 3 books this week, and every book that I ordered, I got the tape with it. So I'll be going down with listening to it and taking my notes and reading the book at the same time. So I mean, those are some things we have to do.
There's definitely a bunch of tools. You can take a picture of the book or text and then read it to you. So there's
Wow,
many
see,
ways.
now that's so good. See, and you guys know all that new stuff.
Oh.
I mean, so you know that's there. So
Yeah. So it's like this is why this duo works. Like I see, I hear something. I'm like, okay, there's something for that. Just provide it. Yep, a lot of people are gatekeepers and stuff like that. Like, everything's free. Like you just get it.
that's right. Just get it and do it. And if you don't know how, ask someone.
Yep.
Ask somebody.
That's what I really want to ask.
Right.
With AI, like we ask AI and stuff like that, but we still need people. We still
Oh,
need
yeah.
community. Like that's what.
Yeah, I think AI, as I said, AI is a tool. And that tool by itself, to me, is not enough. I have to take AI, get that information, then I have to bounce it off of real people. Say, hey, this is what I got. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And then change it, modify. I never take things directly from AI and put it directly out there. No, I get it off AI, then I have to put my stuff to it. So yeah. And like you mentioned too about the book that you're writing, and then what I would suggest for you is to say to AI, this is what I'm getting ready to do. I'm going to start a book, to write a book on my life. Now, what are those things that I need to do to begin this book? What outline do I need to have in order for me to create that tree and then hang all those critical parts off of that tree so that I can get this book completed? So what would you suggest? AI will lay it out for you, and you follow the steps.
I'll give a free game. Mantis, it's an app within Facebook. It will do deep research for you.
Mantis?
Yes.
Okay.
So I can have go down my profile, my Facebook profile,
Mm-hmm.
my page, and give a summary of who I am to give a book outline. That's it. And go from there. And
Well,
just,
that's it. Yeah. I mean, it really is.
yeah.
And if you put information about you, they'll you don't want them to do this, but they'll write the book for you.
Yep.
And that's what you don't want.
Yeah. So, free game. So we had a great time. Thank you for watching.
Appreciate
Yes.
you. Thank you. Ta-da.